guys, welcome back to AshArt Books. So today I thought I would recommend some books that I think are perfect for the fall season. So we are almost at the first day of fall or autumn, whatever you call it. I believe it's on Monday the 23rd this year, so it is perfect timing to find some books for fall. What's weird is I'm not much of a seasonal reader except for in the fall. I feel like there's certain types of books this time of year that I crave, and that's just not really the way I read during winter, spring, or summer. But this time of year, there are certain types of books I always want to reach for and I'm craving. So some of those would be YA. I don't know why, any kind of YA mystery, paranormal. I really want this time of year, and I have been reading quite a few of them recently. I also always want anything kind of paranormal, a little bit creepy, but not too creepy because I'm a complete and total wuss when it comes to scary. So know that my books, to me, are creepy that I'm going to recommend, but they may not be for everybody because, like I said, I can't handle scary, so, you know, discretion is advised. The other thing I always crave is any kind of fantasy type book. I just always love this time of year. So I put together some books that I think would make perfect fall reads for what I usually crave, and I know a lot of other people also want this type of book this time of year. These are I think it's 7 or 8 that I have either read in the past or I read this year already, and I just think they make a really good addition to your TBR. So the first book I want to recommend, I feel like I recommend every time around this year since I read it, and that's the Naturals series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the first one. There's 4 books in the series and a novella. This is just the perfect read for this kind of time of year to me. It's a kind of YA Criminal Minds, and I've talked a lot about this in the past, so I'm sorry if I'm droning on, but I just think it's a great series and one that I don't think as many people read and should. So in this series, basically you have a group of teenagers who have special abilities that they're very good at. So these teenagers are kind of recruited by the FBI to help them solve these mysteries that have to do with a serial killer. To me, they do read pretty creepy, but like I said, total wuss. So I really love these. I loved the characters. I love the mysteries and the crimes they were solving. I thought that the 4 books fit together really well. So if you're looking for something that's a little creepy but has kind of that psychological thriller type where they're trying to figure out the mind of the killer, I thought this was a great series to pick up. So the next book I want to recommend, I read a few years ago, so I don't have a perfect synopsis in my head of this book, but I still want to recommend it because I really loved the series. And that is Vein of Love by R. Scarlett. This is a paranormal romance, definitely an adult paranormal romance, and it has to do with a girl kind of falling in love with a demon. So basically there's a whole mythology behind it, and it has to do with her going to the demon realm, if I remember, or the underworld or something along those lines. There are, I think, 3 or 4 books in the series. This is the first one, the rest I have on my Kindle. But it's a really good paranormal series that I thought was really different from a lot that I've read, and kind of read as just a little bit unique. So if you're looking for something paranormal and definitely has kind of a good steam factor and is an adult, I definitely recommend this series by R. Scarlett. The next book I want to recommend is one that I am currently in the middle of reading the series it's in, and that is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. I'm reading book 4 now, so I'll definitely be talking about that in my next video, but I really love this series. I think it's perfect for this time of year. It has to do with solving crimes, and it's always in a very atmospheric, creepy setting. I think because Audrey Rose, our main character, is into forensic science and has to do with cadavers, it's honestly just really, I feel like I've said creepy 45 times, but I don't know another word for it at the moment, so it's creepy. I love this series, and if you haven't started it, I think it's the perfect time to pick it up. I picked this up this time last year and really enjoyed it. So I think it's a great one. Also, it has a really good love story, a really good romance in this, so you know I'm not going to steer you wrong with a good romance, and I think it's a really good one in this. Okay, so this one's a little bit different from the rest of the ones I've already talked about, and it's a fantasy, but I just think it really fits this time of year for me, and that is A Promise of Fire by Amanda Boucher. This is probably my favorite fantasy romance, and it is part of a series, but this is the first one, and I just think this is a perfect book to curl up with on a weekend or sit outside if it's nice weather and kind of dive into. Like I said, personally always really want fantasy during, I don't know if it's just fall, but it's kind of the winter months, I guess, like fall and winter. And if you're gonna pick one up and you haven't read this series, I highly recommend. It's really good. It is a fantasy romance. So because it is a fantasy romance, there is a lot of romance in it. I would say it's kind of like 50-50, half romance and half fantasy, which I loved, but just know that going in, that it does have quite a bit of romance, but I think the relationship in this is a hate to love, and it's really, really good. Next is a series that you guys know I was obsessed with and I read most of over the summer, and that is the Kate Daniel series by Ilona Andrews. This is the first book. I'm up to book 8, so I have 3 left, and I've been saving them. I think I'm gonna read them in the next couple of months, but if you are ready to dive into a big series, I highly recommend this. It has a lot of different paranormal aspects to it. It has magic. It has like different kinds of shifters. I just think if you want something paranormal, this is a really fantastic series and has a great romance. You just kind of have to wait for it. It's a bit of a slow burn, but once you get there, it's totally worth it. And I just really recommend this, and I think it fits this type of year. I didn't read it. I read it in the summer. But if you're gonna start it, I think this would be a good time of year to start it. The next book I want to recommend, I don't have with me because I lent it to a friend, but it's A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I'll put a picture up. And I love this series. You guys, if you've been around for a while, you know I absolutely love this series. I know it's not for everybody, and some people have some strong feelings on this series, but for me, I think it's great. It has to do with witches, obviously, but there's also vampires and demons. And I just love the whole lore and kind of background and history of the series. I'm a total history nerd. The author goes into a lot of history and a lot of detail that I really love. I just think like the first book ends around Halloween time too, and it's so good. It's so atmospheric, and if you want something to really like sink your teeth into and take your time with, it's definitely a slower read as far as I couldn't zoom through it like I normally can with books, but I think it's worth it, and the TV show is phenomenal. So if you haven't seen the TV show, go watch the TV show. The last book I want to recommend, I just finished, and I'm definitely going to go into a little more detail in my wrap-up, but I wanted to mention it here as well, and that is called Love Spells for the End of the World, which is a really cute contemporary romance Halloween type novella, and the author very kindly sent me a copy of her book, and I'll put a picture up because it has a really cute cover, but I really, really enjoyed this. The synopsis on it kind of said like Halloween Town meets like Hocus Pocus. It's very quirky, it's very fun, it's a quick read, perfect for just like a weekend when you want to have something very like fall and Halloween. It has to do with a girl named Jezebel who is a witch, who is not a very good witch in the sense of like she's not very good at magic. There's a teacup dragon who's really cute, and anyways, Jezebel has to kind of like team up with a witch hunter to help save the town. And it has a very, like I will say, I just finished, it has a very like Halloween towny type vibe to it. So if you like that like movie for when you were a kid, like I do, it was just so nostalgic and really sweet. Definitely had very sweet romance. If you're looking for something very sweet and kind of clean, even though I don't love the word clean, but like it's a sweet romance. Not too much on the steam factor. It was a great choice, and I highly recommend. Alright guys, those are my recommendations for books to read this fall that kind of have that creepy, eerie, kind of paranormal aspect that I really enjoy. So I hope you found one that maybe you want to check out. If you have any recommendations for me of anything like similar to this vibe, definitely let me know down below, because there are still plenty of weeks left in the fall season. It's just starting, so let me know if you have any really good recommendations. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.